I'm Mara Menzies.
And I'm John Mukeni Namai.
We are both storytellers from Kenya.
Together with the meteorologists, we travel to the climate front lines of northern Kenya to discover how people there are using indigenous knowledge to adapt to climate change. This podcast, Listening to the Rainmakers, shares what we learned on our journey.
Episode 2, We Can Foretell the Weather. Before we set out on our journey to learn more about the most respected rainmaking practices, we needed to speak with Joseph Ngor Deng, the journalist. He has traveled to many remote communities in South Sudan and had many conversations with rainmakers. It wasn't easy for us to interview Joseph as internet connections in South Sudan are very poor. Even when he traveled to a hotel in the capital city Juba, especially to talk to us online, the line could be a little patchy, but his descriptions were so vivid.
I am Joseph Ngor Deng. I am a journalist by profession from northern Bahrain state in South Sudan. I have the experience of over 10 years working with the community radio station in South Sudan, in particular northern Bahrain states, and I have been managing the radio station in northern Bahrain states. Northern Bahrain state sometimes is known as Awil. It is one of the states in South Sudan, and it is in the northwest of the country. It is also bordering with the eastern Darfur in Sudan and also western Bahr el-Ghazal, and it is also bordering with southern Kordofan of Sudan. Northern Bahrain state is also bordering with Abyei, the contested area between South Sudan and Sudan. In the past 8 months, I've been making studies about the weather, or in particular, the weather focus, the rainmaking in South Sudan, in northern Bahrain state and some part of Warab. There are people with a cultural practice, cultural things that are inherited into their bloods. Like in the rainmaking, we have got rainmakers. The rainmakers are scattered anywhere, but there are many. And being so many, there are rest of the rainmakers who are powerful than the rest, than others. And they are most respected.
Where can we find them in South Sudan?
We could find them actually in northern Bahr el-Ghazal states and also in Warab. There are areas where we can find them. They are in the local communities. They are in the local administrative structures. Like if you come or if you go to Awil, you could find Awil has 5 administrative areas. And in these 5 administrative areas, there are rainmakers scattered around there. There are not too many locations, but you could find one location has one most respected rainmaker. Like if you go to Awil West, Awil East, Awil South, and also in Awil North. But in Awil Center, the area where there are more, you could not find these communities there, and they don't have rainmakers in their areas.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the rainmakers, like their status in the society, how they are selected? If you were to meet a rainmaker, what would we expect? What would that person look like? How would that person carry themselves? How would the community celebrate that person?
Wow, that is very good. Yeah, that's a very good question. You know, the title that is given to them is called, which we are now saying the rainmakers. In the communities, there are ways that you can tell this person is a rainmaker. One, they are unique in the culture. The clothes that they wear are unique. Anyone cannot put on those clothes that they have if you are confirmed to be the rainmaker. And then again, they are also unique in another way. Sometimes you could find another rainmaker cannot wear the shoes, cannot have the shoes. And other rainmakers can also put on skin, the dry skin of the goat or maybe of an animal. And then again, you can also tell another rainmaker cannot sit on the table, but instead they can sit on the local mats or on the dry skin of a goat that has been slaughtered. Again, the way they are looking to their hair, The hair, they don't cut their hair. They leave it grow, and sometimes you could even tell. And even the spear that they have, they could hold or like they stick. These are the things. Other people also wear beads on their necks. The bead that they wear is more different from the beads other people could also wear. And then also on their hands, they have beads. They can also put beads on their hair. There are so many ways that you can tell. And again, if you are passing in a village and you do not know whether that person is a rainmaker or not, you can go, you can even see the shrines, something like shrines, like a cow or like a goat. And then from there, they beautify it, putting a lot of things, a lot of funny things. Even the horns of the goat, which has been slaughtered for spiritual or for ritual things, like when they are doing the events, the horns of that goat or of the cow, they put it on the shrines, and then you can also tell this is it, what they have. And again, the rainmaker, you can also get him having a lot of followers. Those who are his followers, you could find them around him wearing different kind of clothes, and the clothes they wear are not exactly the same to the one rainmaker is wearing. They may have a different, like, okay, it is like the king. You know, the king, when you see some other king in African culture, the king can have his followers or the people that are with him. Then from there, you can tell the clothes the followers are wearing and the cloth the king is wearing. So it is the same to the one of the rainmaking. Another funny thing, and it is a question that is still sticking into my mind and maybe other people, there are no women who are rainmakers in our area, but women participate when the rainmakers are conducting the events. You could find women gathering themselves, and then they begin to be clapping their hands while singing songs that praise that rainmaker when they are doing the events. And then you could also see the rainmakers surrounded by young men and the young women. The boys could be sing in a group, singing their own songs. The women and the young girls, and then the men and the elders, like that. You see, there are some food a rainmaker cannot eat. Maybe another rainmaker can decide to be only drinking milk, or can decide to be eating food that is made locally with the local grains. Like these other manufactured food, this is maize flour or other flour that is made of and that is manufactured, they cannot eat it sometimes from other rainmakers. And the relationship with the community is very stronger because they don't speak anyhow and they don't perform their duties anyhow. They do it at a time when they are calling for the rains. And the government, the authorities in the areas do not interfere with their activities. They are trusted by the government because they are not strangers. They are not danger to the government. Whatever they do is not affecting the government, and instead it sometimes helps. Government consider it like they are helpful in the society. They even consider themselves. If they want to meet with the governor or any person or the minister, their appointment to meet those government officials is very simple than somebody somewhere who is not having any other title to meet those people. They can even decide to invite the minister, the call for the minister to come to their place when they are performing, just kind of that. That means the relationship with the community or with the government, the authority, is so respected and is so connected.
Yeah, like what do the rainmakers in Sudan look at to influence them? Like what do they observe to help them, like to know that the rain actually is coming?
There are so many things that they observe, and this is where their communication comes in. One of the things that they observed is the migration of the birds. That is, at the time when it is when the dry season is ending, because there are months that are known for the rain to come. And those months, when they are approaching, the things they observe, one, the birds, the migration of the birds in a huge number. Swarm of the birds. If the birds migrate or fly from one place to another, this is one sign. Another sign they also see the changes in the leaves of the trees are also indications. Another thing also which they also observe, the stars. These stars at night, when they are sitting at night, they begin to put their eyes up on the sky to see how the stars are look like, and even the changes in the stars from above. I don't know how they do it, but that is one of the ways that they can also notice. And again, the cattle, the movement of the cattle from place to another place are also indications about how they observe. And also, when the crops are cultivated, when they are germinated, they can tell this year there's going to be pest and disease. And then from there, they can tell you what to do to prevent that pest and disease. So the indications are so many, and these are the things that they observe.
I think there's something so lovely about the idea of that, because the rainmakers will live so closely attuned with nature that they cannot miss any single sign. Whereas a lot of people who might be listening to this, you know, people, even me, who I live in nature, but I still maybe will miss a lot of the signs. People who live in cities, people who were a little bit removed from nature. So when you were listing all these things, these observations that they're looking at, it was just also interesting that there is no scientific tool. I mean, maybe if you're looking at the stars, then you could say that maybe it's something that the astronomers are also looking at. But if we're looking at the connection between, you know, the traditional indigenous knowledge of the rainmakers and then the more sort of scientific knowledge of the meteorologists, have you ever encountered a rainmaker who does kind of approach things from I suppose what we would say is a scientific approach currently, because it's a science in itself, but just a different kind of science? But are there any instruments or tools that people are using now?
The traditional tools that they use, some of them are horns of the goats or of the cows. These tools that they use, it is like they use it for communication. For them, they say that it is what they use to communicate with the God, or they say it is what they use to determine the nature of the weather or of the climate by that time. And I was also saying sometimes you could see them going to the forest. You spend time there, going around, checking the leaves of the trees. Others could go to the bigger tree. There are certain type of the trees that they target. They can go and sit under it, and others can even go and dig around to even pick out the roots of the trees that are in those forests there.
Joseph, in a few days, we'll be visiting the north of Kenya as well, and it will be really interesting to see if there are any similarities between what happens in South Sudan, and then also here at the Kenyan coast as well. There is rainmaking tradition, and here we have the Mijikenda ethnic groups, and there are rainmakers here as well who I'm sure might be following similar patterns in terms of the connection to nature, and then just the awareness of the seasons and all of those very, very small changes that happen. So it will be really interesting to see if there are any similarities, and because the north of Kenya is so close. It's north of Kenya is Eastern Sudan or Eastern South Sudan, I believe. So I wonder whether there are any similarities across the border.
Yeah, there are similarities. The northern Kenya, which is eastern part of, which is bordering with the eastern part of South Sudan, in particular with the community called Taposa. Taposa are the tribe in eastern part of that area. A place is called Kapoita, and the people living there are called Taposa, Taposin. These people, they are bordering with Turkana of Kenya. And the culture, their culture, the traditional culture, look almost the same in terms of doing their things like in dressing, wearing of the clothes, and even the language. And even there are beliefs, there are stories that these people have one time been having blood relationship. So the way they conduct their traditional ways of calling rain or making rains on our side of South Sudan in that area, it is quite a little bit, I believe it can be a little bit similar to that one of Turkana. I stayed in Kakuma, and I have come to learn there are people who make rain in the Turkana area, but I have not attended one day their functions, how they are doing it. But there are stories that these people have interconnection in cultures. And I wish I can also, hear more stories about these people who are living on the side of the border of South Sudan and Kenya.
Day one. This is John Mukeni Namai, and we safely arrived in Lodwar and en route to Lokiriama sub-county. We had our breakfast at 5:30 a.m. and left by 6 p.m. to Loima sub-county. The place is arid, hot, and we crossed many riverbeds. The only way to know you are nearing civilization is meeting donkeys grazing on their way. Our car tires got stuck in the riverbed, and we realized we had not carried a spade, so we all started to dig with our hands and gather fallen trees, branches, and stones from the river. Amidst a Turkana lady carrying a baby on his back who had come to harvest some water on the dried up riverbed. We did our first engagement with the Rainmakers, all sitting in a circle, and the eldest in the middle to the youngest at the beginning. We shared a story to them from our Kenyan coast, and they enjoyed a lot. We localized it to also fit their context. We witnessed their focusing. One of the elders saw some dust on some part of Turkana and said that they might be a raid. Looking at the intestines, so he saw some dust. He interpreted like he saw some dust and they might be cattle moving and signs of a raid. We ate, shared the meat together, and they have an interesting way to share meat, and nothing is to waste. The Rainmakers' knowledge might seem timeless, but in fact communities have been noticing the impacts of climate change for decades now, and they've had to adapt the way they work, as we explore in the next episode.
Thanks to our project partners, Adverse Camber and ICPAC, and the project funders, the British Council.
Oh,